What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Trust the Tape with your two favorite people. Hi, my name is Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
And I'm, of course, hanging out with former Cowboy scout, the finest drafter of all time, see the 1998 Eagles draft, and as well as the owner and operator of Crown Global Media, which you need to follow on YouTube and on Twitter while we try to get that resolved. The great and powerful Bryan Broaddus.
Hey, Bryan.
Hey, Bryan.
Hey, Jeffrey. How we doing, sir? Happy New Year to you.
What's that? Say
Happy New Year to you.
Oh, yes.
Happy
New
Year.
Indeed. Yeah. 2026 is going to be a good one. Shout out to everybody who is already in the chat. We appreciate you guys who are here before the show even starts. That's true dedication, and it is appreciated. And now we're ready to rock and roll with some of your questions. We'll hit Cowboy news real quick off the top, and then we can move on to draft things because it's Trust the Tape, but also we talk about the Cowboys. So let's just knock it out real quick. Trayvon Diggs is reunited with his bestie. They actually claimed him in Green Bay. I didn't think anybody would claim him because they didn't need to. And you could have just signed him. But, yeah, Green Bay went ahead and claimed him. Maybe Micah Parsons told them to. And you now get about $400,000 in cap relief, I believe, from this past season.
470
that last week.
Yeah, 470. And I if you follow along what I do, I have my gang of 7, which are guys that I ask around the league that are general managers, directors of player personnel. I had 2 of the 7 get back to me, both teams, prominent playoff teams that I was visiting with. One of them was adamant that a playoff team would claim Diggs. And the other one was, I don't think so. So of the 2 that got back, it was a 50-50 shot. But the one who was adamant, he was like, listen, this time of year, you'll do what you have to do. If you feel like that you need another corner, another defensive end, wide receiver, whatever, if you feel like that you're not playing with good enough quality and you can maybe add, we could all say what we think about Diggs because we've seen it here the last year. But teams are looking at this and they're thinking, well, if not for them, well, maybe for us. And so that's how they looked at it. That's how the Packers looked at it. And, there's a pretty good possibility, because the Packers are not going to play their starters this week. I was talking to some people last night in Green Bay about this, and they're not going to play. I mean, they're down to their 3rd-string quarterback. They're going to go to Minnesota and likely lose this game going in, and then they'll either have to go to Chicago or go to Philadelphia, depending on how that plays out. So, but they kind of expected that Diggs could very well play this weekend for them.
Well, I guess for them, then that makes a lot of sense because what you're getting is for a guy with no guaranteed money left for your $470,000. You're going to get a free look at him. And then if something happens and somebody gets hurt, you get more of a free look at him. And then you go into the offseason where this is reckless speculation by me. You would tell him, like, obviously, you have no guaranteed money left. So let's talk about if you actually want to be here, what your contract will actually look like, and we'll blow this one up. What do you say? And then David Mulligetta will be like, no, give us more money. And he'll be like, what? Now I'm confused, David. But yeah, so good for them. Is Trayvon Diggs about to be a scapegoat, and does it make it more likely Eberflus survives?
I don't think Eberflus is going to survive this one. I think after the Minnesota game, I feel like that Jerry Jones had really seen enough. I think they were shocked. I know you and I, we have people that we talk to in the organization, and I just got the feeling that, man, they did not expect to lose to J.J. McCarthy. That was something that
Why not? Did they not watch their team all year?
Well, okay. I know. Yeah. But I'm just telling you what they're thinking, whether it's right or wrong. I mean, it's, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of times we could play this game like, oh, would you watch him play? Yeah. I have, Yeah. But, they're in those chairs. We're in our chairs. And yeah. But they did not, losing to Detroit's one thing, losing to Minnesota where J.J. McCarthy had really only played really well the week before against the Commanders, and we've all seen the Commanders. So, that was not an expected deal for the Cowboys. And I think that point in time, the fact that Matt Eberflus has come out here recently and defended himself about this whole thing about not having Micah Parsons, he played the whole entire training camp without Micah Parsons as being on he didn't practice one time with Micah Parsons. So he had an idea. I'll tell you where we got fooled, Jeff. We got fooled at thinking that these edges were going to be good because they were going up against offensive tackles that weren't good enough. Now that's the issue right there. When you look at the big picture for the Dallas Cowboys, I'm sure people out there are going to say, well, you're probably going to be looking at an offensive lineman, maybe even a tackle, depending on what happens with Steele and all that. But there were practices where Donovan Ezraku looked like he was going to be a star. There were practices where Houston and others were rushing, and we're like, "Whoa, man, they're going to be all right." Well, what we didn't realize was that the offensive linemen, the tackles, particularly, weren't going to be great, and I think that gave the defensive coaches a little bit of false sense of security because they haven't had a pass rush all year. And I know you're going to say that, well, they traded away their pass rusher. You're absolutely right about that. They traded away their guy. But they felt like going in that they were going to be okay, and they weren't okay, and they weren't. But I think what happened, it wasn't the level of the defensive end. It was the level of the offensive tackles that kind of fooled us in these practices.
I'm old enough to remember when Jerry Jones told us it was unanimous that when they traded Micah Parsons, everybody was on board. Sounds like Matt Eberflus has changed his mind.
Oh no,
that he cast.
See, that's, to me, this is where now revisionist history is going to show up. This is, I could for a fact tell you, and this goes way, way back for Sean Payton when he was with us at the Packers, and we were talking about Drew Henson. And Sean Payton was the only one that stood up in the room and said, I don't want this guy on our team. I do not want him on our team. I don't think he can help us. I don't think you could work with him and make him throw better. I just don't see it. And everybody just, Jerry and Jim Garrett said, oh, well, he's the next Troy Aikman. And that's all Jerry had to hear. And, Bill Parcells, I mean, we're talking to the damn Yankees general manager, Gene Michael, about athletic ability. And like, well, why are we talking to a baseball general manager about this guy? What are we doing here? But Sean stood up. And I would like to know who in that organization stood up. To me, and I'm not looking at his revisionist history, but I know myself, the loudmouth that I am, and the guy that always stood up and said, what are we doing here? Are we really going to rush the passer with these guys? You really think we could do this? We're talking about closing out games here. If we think our offense is this good, we're going to be in a lot of games where we're scoring points. We're going to need to close these games out, by rushing the passer. We don't have a pass rusher if this guy gets traded. That loudmouth Brian Broaddus would have probably been fired, and because I don't know how anybody could stood up in that room and after the way they built their team and say, okay, we're going to be okay rushing the passer, especially with as many points as we're planning on scoring with our offense.
Yeah, and this is just reckless speculation, but my guess would be that when you hire guys that no one else would hire for their particular positions, you can get them to not really push back at you, and you can kind of do whatever you want. I think that's probably what happened with the Micah Parsons trade.
There was nobody established in that group.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the head coach. If the head coach really agreed to that, then there's there's no way. I mean, how do you and listen, Jerry and Micah went at it. There's no question of that. There were signs before that, Jeff. You've been doing this long enough that, again, we work with people, talk with people. There's people that talked about that when Micah Parsons was shown the door, much like with Diggs being shown the door, there's people in the organization that are absolutely happy about this. Is that right or wrong? I mean, history will judge that. But there are people that were ready for Micah Parsons to go on. They did not want Micah Parsons. I mean, people will tell you that Tank Lawrence wanted nothing to do with being around here anymore because of Micah Parsons. So good or bad, somebody should have stood up and said, well, our defense is not going to be as good. Are we okay with that? And Matt Eberflus should have probably been the first one standing up and saying something, but you're right about that. When sometimes you get hired for a job, Jerry Jones, Will McClay, Stephen Jones, and hey, hire Matt Eberflus, to the first year head coach. Head coach goes, okay, I don't really have anybody in mind, but sure, here we go. That sounds like a good plan to me. I'm on board. That's how you get hires. That's how you get players on your team sometimes too.
James in the super chat, he said, is Love going to be a DCB, Dallas Cowboy? Would you be happy? That'd be Jeremiah Love, the Notre Dame running back. And I would tell you, you'd be happy with the running back that you have on your team, but I don't know that they're in a position where they have the luxury to pick a running back in the first round.
They do if they address free agency like most teams do. You got to create flexibility within the drafting for you. If you go out and you just say we're gonna tag George Pickens and we're gonna bottom fish and just draft 2 players, you can't draft a running back. You absolutely can't. But if you go out and you address it with you get an edge, you maybe get a linebacker, you maybe look at a safety, you look at a tackle. If you play this right and give yourself flexibility to be able to take a best player situation like they took CeeDee Lamb those so many years ago, then you can draft Love. You absolutely can. But if you don't do any of the things I just walked you through, you can't, in good conscience, you can't do it.
I want to shout out to our friends at Underdog. Hold on, let me get your stuff. Let me get their stuff on the screen for you because I think it's important that you see this cool little logo. Bang!
Yeah, good one. Yeah, good one.
Our friends at Underdog, which all you got to do is make picks. You're just picking if you think guys are going to have more or less than a projected stat each week. It's our friends at Underdog. All you have to do is download their app and then get to work, get to work making all of the picks. You make, they have drafts, ladders, streaks, all sorts of different ways to do it. You can just make picks each week if you like of more or less on a projected stat in football. That's going to be passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, catches, whatever. And then that's all you do. That's all you do. And if you get all your picks right, guess what? Then you get the money. You can do the pick'ems. You can do all sorts of different things. It's a fantasy game, of course. Game of skill is what Underdog Fantasy is. And yeah, just pick whether your favorite players are going to go higher or lower on different stats. Get the picks right. You can win up to 5,000 times your cash. That is Underdog. Download the app today. Use the promo code TAPE. You'll get $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. The promo code is TAPE, T-A-P-E. Underdog, make picks, win money. Thank you, Underdog. You're our friend, and we surely appreciate you. Got questions from the people.
Mm-hmm.
Mike on Twitter said, and I'm sorry for Twitter. I'm sorry for saying that, Brian. I know it's a sensitive subject.
Trying, man. I'm trying. I've got people around the world trying to help me now. So we'll see if we can get this thing done.
We're gonna get this done. We just got to get
Elon. I hope so.
Since he fired all the people that make the website work.
God
and
then dang.
The name.
It's embarrassing.
We're gonna work this out. Mike said, "What about Ohio State players who lost a bit of their shine? How to evaluate one game, even if it's their biggest one up to that point?" But you.
Not going there.
What do you mean you're not going there?
Those kids are great football players. Those kids are great football players. And you know what? Miami's got some great football players too. We learned that in that football game. We really did. I am not going to sit here and I'm not going to let one game determine how I feel about Styles or Downs or anybody that lined up, McDonald, anybody that lined up for Ohio State. That is a quality football team, and give Miami a lot of credit for the way that they played. Their defense got after it, and that's what they did against Texas A&M. They harassed, they play, they get after it, they tackle well. Miami is a physical football team, and their ability to run the football, to the way they block up front. Maui Noah, those guys. I mean, they did a nice job. And is it something you evaluate? I don't think one game kills my evaluation of those Ohio State kids. I am not going to. I look at it as, wow, that's good on good right there. So, but I'm not going to sit there and just say, oh, well, they're all second round picks now. I'm not going to do that.
No, but I do enjoy that week after week now the Miami defense shows up and draws more attention to itself.
We saw that. We saw that. You watched the Texas A&M. You watched early Miami all year. They had a little bit of a rough patch in the middle where they lost a couple of games. But you look at how they play defense and how they tackle and how they cause so much. We talk about everybody was killing Bane. Oh, short arms, this, that, and the other. Okay. And now you watch him play, you're like, realize how a short arm guy can bend, can get underneath. You see how they play with their front, and you see how they run the ball, and you see how they block. And no, look, that we saw this for Miami. We saw it's just Ohio State is that good that we all didn't really, we didn't think that Miami had a chance. But once it turned into a game where Ohio State was having to throw the ball, then that's where Miami's going to shine.
Well, and I hope that Dane is right, or the people that Dane is talking to are right. And I hope that NFL teams and scouts are torn on Ruben Bain, the Miami defensive end. I hope they're torn on him as a prospect because of his short arms, because all that's going to do is get edge one, according to me, with a chance for you to draft him. Because that's something that, again, this happens all the time. No matter what player gets brought up, I get told you can't have him. There's no chance. And I'm like, well, there's people that I know and trust that think that quite a few teams might take a chance on someone else over this guy. Get Ruben Bain to 15 or so and watch the Cowboys snap him up. And
I sat there and I saw a mock draft, I think yesterday. I was just one popped up and I forgot to see who it was, but I'm in a situation where I'm looking at it and Reese gets to you at, your pick, your first pick.
Reese,
and I'm like,
to me, Arl Reese is the weirdest one in the draft. To me, he's the weirdest one in the draft because I understand what everybody likes. The way that he's built, the plays that he makes. So Arl Reese, for a lot of people, is a top 5 player, top 3 player in this draft. And I'm kind of scared of him because I've seen him make a bunch of great plays from linebacker. I've seen him line up off the edge and rush the passer and look good doing that, but he's done it way less than most of the guys that you would watch doing that. And so, some teams are able to figure out, what am I going to do with the guy that can play anywhere in the front 7 and make plays? And with the right coordinator, the answer is probably a whole darn lot. But if you tell me he's an edge, I'm not picking him over Ruben Bain. And if you tell me he's a linebacker, I wouldn't pick him over Sonny Styles. And so Arl Reese is the weird one that I'm cool with where the Cowboys are picking in that regard, because someone else is going to take that adventure before you in theory. And if that lets me get one of the guys that I feel better about at their individual spot, I'm cool with that. And I'll say this about Arl Reese. Now I'm going to defend Arl Reese after I just tore him down so bad, which I didn't, obviously, but that's the way it'll be portrayed. Jeff hates Arl Reese. They also put him in a weird spot. Like this year, a lot of times they've moved him from being mostly linebacker to a lot of snaps playing on the edge on either a 4 or 5-man front. And a lot of times from there, he's being asked to drop, or he's being asked to play dance with the tackle, hold, spy the quarterback. Like, so if you're just looking for a bunch of sacks or you're looking for a bunch of anything, I think you have to put it in the context of, what are they telling me to do here? Because he's not being asked to tee off on quarterbacks all game. He's being asked in the college game, don't let that quarterback hurt us. Come off the ball, wait, watch. Don't let him do this. And so he's the most interesting one to me, because he can do multiple things, but I wouldn't pick him over the best guy at either of those things, And so it's weird. He's just a weird one to me. And I'm going to let somebody else figure it out. And then I'm going to take Sonny Styles or Ruben Bain, and I'm going to be really happy, and it's going to be good.
Would you have taken Ruben Bain before this game?
He was my top edge before this game. Yeah, I'm the psycho who, as soon as I watched all the
so
edge guys,
did you do? So you put Reese as a linebacker for you, or do you have him as an edge?
I have him listed as a linebacker behind Sonny Styles, is where I have him listed.
Okay,
But I mean,
good. Yeah, he's my number 1 linebacker, and then Bain's my number 1 edge. So that's how I keep them that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other guy that I think is in consideration for being the top edge guy is Texas Tech's David Bailey, and watching him play another playoff game, their offense failed them miserably, but you watch defensively, and David Bailey, once again, he's out there making plays. He's a hellified pass rusher. That my favorite thing about him is that he wears no gloves, he wears no sleeves, he looks like a psycho. His shirt doesn't go beyond like his shoulder level. His pants don't cover his knees. My guy's out there showing all the arm and leg skin, and it looks psychotic, but I appreciate it because it makes him easy to find. David Bailey would also be another good one. And so now I'm already getting down to where, like, I'm just cheerleading for, like, amongst 3 or 4 names, which one can get to your first pick, and I'm cheerleading. Let people be worried about David Bailey's ability to play the run and let him make it into the teens. Perfect. Let people be worried about Ruben Bain's arm length. Let him get into the teens. Perfect. Let people not want to take a safety or an off-ball linebacker too high and get me Ruben Bain or Sonny Styles. Perfect. I'm getting it whittled down, baby. I'm getting it whittled down. And we need corners. So just let Mansour Delane make it too. Like we're going to end up with a guy unless the Cowboys do something foolish. We're going to end up with a guy. It's going to be good. I believe.
Yeah, I think so. I think, Delane is everything that Mo Claiborne wishes he was, coming out. But yeah, I could say I'm not going to overthink this thing. I think these players. I think you watch the tape and you talking about Bain and Bailey and Reese, Delane. You don't overthink this thing, man. Don't. I mean, just watch what these guys are capable of doing, down after down after down, and you'll know which one of these guys to pick. It won't be that hard, but too many factors get thrown into the mix here, and it affects the judgment of who you should actually take.
Yeah, and to your point in free agency, what makes it so important is to just make yourself have the ability to do whatever's best for your team with that individual pick and not feel like you have to scramble and plug a hole with a first round pick.
Absolutely, yeah. You bottom fish and you tag Pickens and that's all you do.
Yeah.
Then you've put a tremendous amount of pressure on your scouting staff and coaching staff to have to make a decision in the draft. You've really limited. Now the draft gods might smile on them and they might end up with the right guys, but man, I would sure love the flexibility of being able to pick a couple of different positions more than just a cornerback or a linebacker or an edge rusher.
Yeah, and we've gone through a bunch of individual players there, naming 5 or 6 guys that you would be thrilled to have be the first Cowboys pick. And I haven't even mentioned what an interesting year that probably my top 2 offensive tackle prospects both play right tackle in college. Yeah. Maui Noah, the guy at Miami, and Fano at Utah.
Yeah.
And you have a team that would probably really like to free up money by getting rid of the guy who's currently playing right tackle. Like,
absolutely.
Add 2 more. Now I'm up to 7, 8 names that I'm watching. I'm like, which one?
Yeah.
Which one can I have?
But,
can I have 2?
Yeah. Yeah. Your tackle situation, me personally, I would like to see Guyton. The thing about Guyton is his health scares me. I can't, a young guy, it's already, my man has like a basketball body build. It's like when we watch the NBA and it's like these big, good-looking athletes just get hurt. They play 5 games and then they get hurt. I mean, I'm kind of worried. The one thing you could say about Steele, we always get mad at Steele. Steele lines up and plays every week. Yeah. We get mad at him though. We get mad at him. We probably get mad at him too because he makes too much money to everybody. If he was where he was picked and where he was, the signing and all that. I mean, we get mad at the guy, but boy, I'd sure like to have the flexibility of being able to pick if one of those tackles was there. I'd love the flexibility to do that if that was the case.
Could you imagine how much Jerry Jones could talk about stopping the run if the first pick for the Cowboys was Ruben Bain? And you now have 3 $20 million defensive tackles and a 275-pound
Well,
edge.
That's him or Bailey. Give me Howell from Texas A&M. We've gone almost 18 weeks now watching a team with no pass rush.
Yeah.
None.
Not good.
And, we said, well, we play the run. Well, damn, you can't defend the damn pass.
It's 2026. Teams don't care if you want to stop the run. That sounds great to them. Sweet. Yeah. Put 5 guys down there. You can't cover. We're going to hang 40 on you.
You can't. You look at these teams, Green Bay, until Green Bay was able to mask the problems they had in the secondary because of Micah Parsons and their pass rush.
Yeah.
Dallas has got none.
Yeah.
Dallas has got no pass rush. Don't tell me, the guy plays the run really well and he rushes the passer. I don't care. Give me the guy that rushes the passer. I've got 3 cats now that can play the run. I've got guys. I got Clark, Ezeraku, Williams. I've got guys. Give me a bendy SOB that will get after the quarterback and finish in the pocket. That's what I want. If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, you should want an edge rusher. and figure it out. Or, get a linebacker that can rush. But man, don't sit there and tell me, well, this guy, Falk is a great example of this. The guy at Auburn. I think it's 6'6", 285. I don't see a bendy guy. I see a really good football player. I'm not hating. I'm just telling you. You watch these damn games. Seriously. Do they have anybody that can rush the passer?
No, the Cowboys have no one that can rush the passer. And hopefully second year as Araku can do it a little better. I mentioned this last week, and it was weird when it kind of clicked in my head, and then I fired off a tweet and talked about it on the show. I think Jadeveon Clowney was your best non-defensive tackle on your whole defense last year, and that's not okay.
No.
It's not okay that in your two best pass rushers, neither one was at training camp.
Yeah.
Like, you picked up two dudes off the streets that were your two best pass rushers. That ain't going to work in the NFL.
No.
That
ain't sad. I'll tell you what's been a little bit sad, Jeff, and maybe my bar was too high for Donovan Ezeraku. Maybe it was. I saw him winning against better offensive tackles in the ACC than guys he's playing against in the NFL. I mean, I get Jordan Mailata. I get it. But I saw him winning against better ACC tackles than he was playing in the NFL this year. It didn't even look like the same player rushing the passer.
He's gonna figure it out.
I think he will.
One.
No, I'm not dinging the guy. I'm not dinging him. I'm just saying it. I did not expect him to have. He just hasn't been able to finish and get home like he did when he was at Boston College.
Yeah. At Up, Winv, have you guys watched any tape on Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas, and what round will he be in? I have watched Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas, and I have to apologize to Texas fans that I'm cheerleading for a linebacker that's not yours, because I know that I know there are a lot of people who want that to be the Dallas Cowboys linebacker who fixes all of the things.
Yeah.
But I think Anthony Hill Jr. is more of a second or third round player than a first round player.
I do too. I got him in the second round myself. And the one, yeah, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
And I don't mean this all the way, and I'm not projecting this career onto him. But honestly, I see some Kenneth Murray there where it's like off the bus, looks right, can run, can hit. But when we're trying to have everything be right all the time and diagnose things and get off the blocks, like, I think he is a strong, fast, can punish you.
Yeah.
But I don't think his strength is going to be in coverage.
Nope.
And I don't think he always sees things the fastest. So honestly, I don't think Kenneth Murray is a terrible comp for Anthony Hill Jr.
I think that, there's some instincts with the player that you kind of see. I watched a linebacker yesterday, Lawson from Alabama, and I watched Vanderbilt run the ball past him twice, and I'm like, I'm talking to some scout buddies of mine, and they're like, yeah, the guy's got some instinct and all that. I'm like, did you guys watch the Vanderbilt game? And I'm, it's funny with some of these things with Hill, 6'3", 238. He's good looking player. He can play downhill, as you mentioned, the explosiveness with the hips and stuff like that. But he is kind of a spot drop linebacker when it comes to coverage and things like that. He's just going to kind of go to the area, and then, maybe that's the way that scheme is that they play at Texas. But man, the upper body power, all that stuff is pretty impressive with this player.
There's a little tape trusting for you out there, ladies and gentlemen. We do appreciate everybody who is here with us. Thank you. Smash the like button on your way out if it's not too much trouble. Make sure you're following Crown Global Media. And I believe it's CRWN.
Right.
Media.
Yeah, they wouldn't give me all the letters, so I had to improvise there a little bit.
That was nice. It took out one vowel. I see you. Look, DLLS. Take out a vowel somewhere. That's what you got to do. And make sure you're following Crown Global Media on YouTube as well. Thank you, Bryan, and thank you, people. It's good to see you. Happy New Year. And remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through. Be cool to everybody. We love you. Be easy.